morning.
Oh my goodness, the man, the myth, and the legend.
In his own mind.
Steve, I've like been a fan like forever. So I've always followed you, and I've got your book about Fred Thompson and yada yada. And I was before I was about to call you today, I was going through your Wikipedia. Have you ever gone through your Wikipedia?
No, huh?
Yeah, well, you should, because it's pretty cool. I was like, wow, Steve, that you have a big resume there, sir.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, anyway, you were at the Capitol the past couple of days and been sharing some exciting footage. Can you just talk about it a little bit and the experience at the Capitol?
Yes, and I just posted a video on social media that was the protesters following legislators out. Now, again, language
uh,
warning, but when they show you who they are, believe it. It looked like a Carnival Cruise Line. A fight at Waffle House. I mean, it again, there is a consistency. One of my buddies said, "Hey, if they want to secede, great, but who would possibly take Memphis?"
oh my gosh. Seriously, seceding from Tennessee. Who wants
Yeah.
them?
It improve our economy, drop our crime rates, and improve our education statistics. Why would Mississippi or Arkansas want to take it? So
Well, what it was? Are we the first state to do this after the ruling?
um, Florida already had it in the works,
Okay.
but the probably because I mean South Carolina, Alabama, everybody is still proceeding. Louisiana, I mean, we had the ability to do it quickly and a timetable, and the justices are making it clear this decision should have come down in Louisiana Calais, 6 months ago, and
Yeah.
you wouldn't have had all this, we got to do it right now because of the election. You wouldn't have had the pressure of election days coming, but the Democrat liberal justices slow walk filing their dissents to run out the clock, to delay this, to create more chaos.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm impressed, and I'm sure you were completely that we got it done that quick.
Yes, and again, keep in mind that the numbers, because again, it's all math in terms of just population centers and the ability to move based on political numbers. You cannot use race, and they did not, because they used math and political numerical division. But the math is going to change dramatically in 2030 when you get a new census, because they were using the 2020 census numbers. So, Tennessee's had 10, 15% population growth. You've had significant population growth in Rutherford County. It's now bigger than Hamilton County population-wise. Mm-hmm. Montgomery County is exploding. All the surround counties around Nashville are growing dramatically. Shelby County is actually losing population. So you're going to see even more, the need to divvy up, Middle Tennessee red counties that'll make it even, a different map than we're seeing even right now.
Okay, so I've been following the process. There were several maps that were presented. Could you kind of walk us through how that all occurred?
Yeah, the first map that got popped out from Ward Baker and Marsha Blackburn, never really had a chance. I mean, it was kind of, I guess, an indication of which way things could be drawn. But the map that came out, that was the House and the Senate map that were revealed on Wednesday, were the real maps that were being negotiated behind the scenes. And essentially, when that map that is now the map came out, that was the one that was only narrowly changed. Actually, that was the map that got adopted. The Senate dropped their map, and the White House was involved in approving or giving their thumbs up to the map. So it was not a real long process. It was pretty much once they had a map that the members of Congress that are in, some of the candidates that are running had agreed to. It was a pretty easy process because those were the ones that were going to be in position to scream the loudest. And then it's obvious that Senator Brent Taylor in Memphis was given a heads up. I mean, he announced his campaign 30 minutes after they passed the map, and he recused himself from voting, knowing that the map was going to allow him to run for Congress in the open ninth seat that now runs from Memphis up into Williamson County, Brentwood Franklin, up into Murray County, Columbia, and actually takes, it looks like a little bit of Rutherford County. So, he actually changed his social media name from Senator Brent Taylor to Brent Taylor earlier yesterday, and again recused himself from voting as a clear indication that he was going to run. And then within 30 minutes of his announcement, Marsha Blackburn and Bill Haggerty both endorsed him, as did Glenn Jacobs, the county mayor in Knoxville.
Oh, wow. Boom, boom.
And he announced and was showing he had put $1 million of his own money to initially self-fund his own campaign. So you had some legislators, Ron Gant, Representative Sapicki in Murray County, a former Tennessee Agriculture Commissioner, all kind of rumored immediately that they might seek it, but all three immediately endorsed him as well to end any speculation.
Oh, boom. That's so clean. Who gets affected? Is it Andy Ogles? Who gets the most affected?
Ogles benefits. I mean, if you're going to look at winners and losers in this process, Ogles is a definite big winner. His district, though, he's a winner politically, he's a loser geographically, because his district now runs from Murray, Williamson County, up to the northern border of Tennessee, all the way across the northern border of Tennessee, and then down the western border of Tennessee into Memphis. And the part of Memphis that he has is the most urban, most Democrat, most African American. It's where both Cohen and Justin Pearson live. So they're in that district. They will be the Democrat. One of them will be the Democrat nominee. But his district now is spread along a lot of rural counties that he has no connections to. So he'll have to really, work a different, bigger, tougher area. But at the same time, it moves his political base from probably a +8, maybe +9 Republican district to probably a +12 to 16 Republican district, making it a lot more easy if he will raise money, which is his, problem. Now, when you've got a Democrat like Pearson or Cohen, or if Chaz Mulder, who was running against him in the old district, Mulder is saying he's in the county that's been divided, so he could still run in the new district, even though he doesn't technically reside in the new district. And he's raised about $1 million, $2 million. So he has a war chest that could, inspire an opportunity. But the numbers are worse for the Democrats in that district than they were before. And then Andy Ogle's primary opponent, Charlie Hatcher, former Commissioner of Agriculture in Tennessee, is also no longer in the new district. And it's not certain whether he will, try to continue his campaign or whether, again, he's now in the one that Brent Taylor has had drawn for him. So it's doubtful that he thinks he could beat Brent Taylor, particularly with Taylor having that Memphis base. Keep in mind, when Marsha Blackburn first got elected to Congress a long time ago, that district that the Democrats had drawn ran from Williamson County to Memphis.
Oh, that's right.
That is not that different than what Democrats did when they had the pen the last time. And by the way, State Senator Steve Cohen, that at the time voted for the map, he's now screaming and pitching a hissy fit about. So, again, the hypocrisy of the Democrats should not be undercounted in this whole process. But that district had previously run that way, so it's not that unusual to see kind of a Williamson, Memphis. And by the way, I think Brent Taylor ran against Marsha years and years ago in that race. I think Tussoff may have run in that race again. They divided up the Memphis-Shelby County Republican area, and Marsha with Williamson County and some of the Middle Tennessee districts was able to win that seat. So you're going to see the geography politically play out, down the road. But initially, Williamson, Murray, these Middle Tennessee districts are going to be represented by Brent Taylor in Memphis. And then again, after 30, when you see the population growth in Middle Tennessee, we'll see how those get shifted. Again, Rutherford County is going to be the key to the district that Desjardins, has and continues to have. But that's going to be where the next congressman, if Desjardins ever retires, the next congressman for that district is definitely going to come from Murfreesboro. The other winner and loser, interesting, is you have Van Hillary and Johnny Garrett. Van, former congressman, former chief of staff for John Rose, running in John Rose's being vacated district. You have Johnny Garrett, state representative, I think caucus chair in Sumner County. They were both narrowly drawn into the existing, 6th district, the John Rose district. That Sumner County got moved out, and just basically the neighborhoods and the streets where Johnny Garrett and Van Hillary live was drawn into that district, allowing them to continue running where they had already started their campaigns. That's a big boost for Van Hillary because a couple of the counties he represented in Congress previously were also added to that district. And as chief of staff for John Rose, he's worked, Cumberland County, Crossville, Putnam County, Cookeville, White County, Sparta. Those counties in that district where a lot of the population is, that's areas that he and Rose have strong representation and strong endorsements coming from. So it really helps Van Hillary in that race. Garrett loses about 200,000 votes in his home county of Sumner County that gets moved out and is now in Van Epps, Congressman Van Epps' district. So it definitely, you'd say Garrett was a loser in the process because while he can still run, he lost a big part of his base in that district as it was before, while Van Hillary got a big pickup. So the speculation, by the way, I always love to deal with rumors with you.
I know.
The speculation is that because Van Hillary has said, look, I'm only going to serve 6 years. I'm not going to be a 15, 20-year congressman from this area. The speculation is that John Rose's wife, Chelsea, is kind of set up to take that district, regardless of how it's redrawn in 30, when Van Hillary decides to pursue other interests.
Wow, that's definitely interesting. Okay. Weren't you up in D.C. when Van was the contract with America and Newt? Is that the same time frame?
Yes, Van and I both ran. Ed Bryant from West Tennessee was running, and then you had Zach Wamp in Chattanooga. We all ran in '94, which was the contract with America. They won. That was the year Fred Thompson was running, Bill Frist was running, Don Sundquist was running. So, a lot of Tennessee political activity. I was running against incumbent Congressman Bart Gordon in a district that included the suburbs around Nashville and then heading east in areas that at that time were still solidly Democrat. I ended up losing by less than 0.5% to Gordon, despite getting outspent by $1 million in 1994 money, to give you a sense of how big the gap was spending-wise. But yet we came within less than a half point. And again, it was a matter of as the votes came in, you had some of those Democrat counties in the Upper Cumberland vote at presidential year numbers, and those were the last numbers that came in that were just enough to get him over the hump. And again, we didn't know you could challenge election numbers at that time. But Van and Ed and Zach and I all ran in that same cycle, and so I've known all those guys, known Van for a long time. Actually went to the University of Tennessee. Van was a few years behind me. He was in Sigma Chi fraternity as I was. I was in law school, so I didn't really spend much time with him in college.
Wow. Well, it just all evolving, and he kept his word with his term limits too in contracts, so I believe him.
Yes, and again, he knows that district well, because not only did he represent a large portion of it when he was in Congress years ago, but also as John Rose's chief of staff, he's continued to have strong contacts there, and again, he's raised over $1 million. You have Johnny Garrett, who put $900,000 of his own money into the campaign, and the question is, with this new drawn district, does Johnny spend his own money, or does he spend what he's raised and kind of run a continuation race, but not go all in with his trust fund money that can't be reimbursed. It's hard to raise money after you lose. That is not likely to recoup that. Now, if you get elected, yeah, you can recoup that and pay yourself back because it's in the form of a loan. But down the road, you don't have the capacity to raise it very easily after you lose a race. As Manny said, he found out. Manny put a lot of his trust fund money into his Senate race against Bill Hagerty, and again, you don't raise it well after you lose.
Oh gosh, amen. All right. Well, the most fortunate thing in all of this is that we have a deep bench. We have a lot of great candidates, and it'll just make it more interesting and more fair. I mean, from a legal standpoint, it makes sense. I was on the fence with it. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to trust the process, but it seems like Tennessee did the right thing.
Well, and when you look at why people are, some people are saying, well, why are we doing this? I don't like gerrymandering. Well, nobody should. I mean, when you're doing it, so aggressively that we're seeing, there's a reason for it. You have Maine has 0 Republicans, even though they've elected Republican governors. They've elected Republicans at the local level, but yet there's 0 Republicans in Congress in the entire Northeast. Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont. You have Massachusetts that is basically the same as Tennessee, about 45% vote Republican. In Tennessee, it's about 35 to 37% vote Democrat. And yet in Massachusetts, the Democrats have a 9-0 map, completely eliminating any Republican voice in their congressional delegation. And they did that long before President Trump was in, long before this tit-for-tat, we'll gerrymander because you did. And Republicans in Indiana, and you just saw the Republicans that blocked their effort to gerrymander their state to add 2 Republican seats. You saw 7 get beat in their state Senate races just this week because they did not go along with it. But Indiana did not go along with gerrymandering because they decided that because Virginia promised they wouldn't shift theirs, but then after Indiana trusted the Democrats in Virginia try to shove through a 10-1 map. So you cannot trust the Democrats. And therefore, if you want fairness, if you want to stop this gerrymandering business, well, then the Democrats who have done it in California, Illinois wipes out any essentially Republican members of Congress. In the Northeast, 0. In New York, they've been extraordinarily aggressive in drawing these lines to prevent Republican voices. So it is a Tennessee issue, but it's also our voice in the U.S. Congress is diminished when they cheat to the level they've done in their gerrymandering in these other states long before Trump was in office. So all these people blaming Trump. The Democrats were doing this long before. We're just finally responding. And the good news, as we look forward, is that the population move from these blue states, people voting with their feet as they get disgusted with the Democratic Party policies, the people leaving California and Illinois and New York and the Northeast, moving to places like Texas and Tennessee and South Carolina and Florida. That population shift after the 2030 census is going to cost Democrats dozens of congressional seats. And by the way, those also deny them electoral votes when they lose those congressional seats. The census that was done in 20, it's been acknowledged that they overcounted populations in blue states, undercounted them in red states, and essentially stole 10 congressional seats and 10 electoral votes for the Democrats in that process. And then finally, if you don't count illegal aliens in the census, Republicans probably pick up another 20, 25 seats from, again, California, the Southwest, Colorado, Nevada. You move even more seats into the red states. Again, if you count fairly in the census, both population, don't count illegal aliens, take into account the movement within the country as people vote with their feet, Republicans could have 30 or 40 more congressional seats, 30 or 40 more electoral votes, making it incredibly difficult for Democrats to ever win the House or win the presidency for the next 20 years.
Oh, my God, you're giving me chills, Steve.
You can tell how much of a nerd I am when I can recite these numbers off the top of my head.
That is why I love following you. Well, Steve, thank you so much for your time. I didn't mean to take so much, but man, this fascinates me. And if we could talk again in the future, as we all know, elections matter, and it's important to have our information correct. And I appreciate everything that you do.
Well, and thank you for all you do. And again, I think we as Republicans need to understand. I saw one of the races. I think it was in Indiana, and it was like a state senate race. It was decided by 3 votes.
Oh God!
People think, well, my vote doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, and more importantly, I know you and I have been to so many Reagan and Trump dinners over the years. Every election we say is the most important in our lifetime. This one is. And Tennessee, with this map, we should end up with a 9-0 congressional delegation. But we've got Senate races in Georgia, a nearby state, in North Carolina, where if Democrats pick up Senate seats and control the U.S. Senate, it's going to be all impeachment all the time for the next 2 years. They won't be successful. They won't have the 60 votes necessary to remove Trump. But they're just going to litigate, and destroy and stop. So Tennessee, Bill Hagerty's going to get elected, by a huge margin. We don't need to worry about our U.S. Senate seat. But to the extent that we have friends or time to go campaign in Georgia for the U.S. Senate Republican candidate there, in North Carolina, if you've got friends and neighbors in some of these other battleground states in Michigan and Minnesota and New Hampshire and others, we must win and keep the Senate, or the Democrats will have the ability to do even more destructive things to our country that we may never be able to recover from.
Yeah. I mean, we need continuity of purpose. So I'm excited. Well, thank you, Steve, so much. Like I said, huge fan. Always love following you, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Well, then folks will go to tristardaily.com. You'll see some of the new video that we're posting today. Also, follow us on Facebook, TriStar Daily. Follow my personal Facebook, Steve Gill, and we've got a lot of new videos from yesterday that we're going to post. I'm going to give you language warnings because when Democrats show you who they are, you should see and listen, but be prepared for a lot of F words and worse when you see what Democrats and these protesters were doing the last 2 days.
Hey, real quick, and thank you for that reminder, and yes, please do, because that's where I get my information. Were there paid protesters there from other states?
Absolutely. There were a lot of people who were from out of state that were there because as we were interviewing, some of them would say, I'm not from Tennessee. You also had, as you look at some of the videos, you'll see these people wearing the yellow, safety vests that were the handlers. They were handing out snacks to their protesters. They were handing out bottles of water. They were telling people, what was going on. Like yesterday, most of them wore black because it was well coordinated, well financed. And keep in mind that they were also, yesterday in particular, the handlers were telling them, don't talk to him. He's a Republican. He's a far-right Nazi extremist Klan member. So they were telling the people that were up there protesting that were just there not as the paid or bust-in protesters, don't talk to them because they'd rather chant than talk. It was interesting at one point, I'm interviewing a young man who said he was from Mexico and lives in Memphis, and one of the handlers comes running up to him in Spanish and telling him, don't talk to him, he's a Nazi, he's a Klan member. And I turned to her, I said, Buenas tardes, chica, me llamo Steve Gill, habla español. And it's like your eyes got wide. I said, yeah, don't be racist and assume just because a guy's white, he doesn't speak and understand Spanish when you're telling this guy, I'm a Nazi and I'm a Klan member. She, of course, ran off. We've got the video posted now where she gives us the double fingers as she walks off.
Oh, my goodness. It's almost like that. Remember the Kent Williams? That whole thing. That's a story for another day. Steve, thank you so much. Please go to TriStar Daily, right?
TriStarDaily.com, and check us out on Facebook and social media, and be sure to follow us and join us. And I love your input, so please add your input and thoughts on the social media sites as well.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Happy Friday.
Thank you. Talk to you again soon.
See you. Bye.